So what was that journey back to marketing like for you?
Right. So after going through the boot camp and being in that field, it wasn't too long, but I learned a lot. I'd say that from being in that boot camp, I learned a lot from my peers as far as the way they approached certain problems. The the one word I would say to most designers I met, what they are like is very thoughtful. And I had lacked that for a while. I was more, I guess, like more aggressive when it came to solving problems, right? But they took a different approach, which is what I learned the most from, because I was able to take that same approach in UX design, understanding the journey of the user and what they're feeling along the way, their different pain points, their needs, really focusing more on them. I took that knowledge and I was able to bring that back into the marketing industry and have a more thoughtful approach to how I conduct my campaigns, knowing that there's always a user on the other end. They're not just some number. You got to remember who they are, what their particular journey is to to still get them from awareness to purchase, but doing it in a more thoughtful way.
I really appreciate that because that is one of the things when I was in that first role doing, credit card marketing, it was all numbers. There were no people, there were no faces, there was no interaction with the user. That was actually one of the reasons I wanted to get into advertising and then eventually into coaching was because I just kept getting closer to real people and seeing the
Right.
results of what I was doing. I think, there was this one time I was working on these like postcard mail campaigns. That's how long ago this was. And
Wow.
and we would just literally just send out postcards all day, every day, and get response. Like we would check the Bitly links and we would do all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what do I don't even know who gets these things. Like I know their locations in the country and in the world, and then I see a
Mm,
spreadsheet and a pivot table that I'm messing with, and then I just send more of the things. I'm like, I really have no idea who is on the other side of this or what they look like or what their
mhm,
lives are like. And that is such a great insight that you got of going from that numbers based kind of
mhm,
at scale marketing to like the beautiful thing about UX design and really like you're interviewing users, you're
right.
getting data, you're trying to see do those heat maps of where they're looking on
Mhm,
screens. You're really
mhm,
digging in and seeing not just the behavior of the user, but also their face potentially. And so
mhm.
that's a really cool insight to bring back into the marketing world. And especially if you're going to go this more ethical route, you really have to be aware of who it is you're talking to. So now that you have that perspective, how has it changed your approach to marketing? How has it
Mhm.
changed the way that you
Mhm.
think about, you know, balancing that business to customer relationship and things along those lines?
Right. Right. I mean, it's it's definitely changed the way I view, I guess you would call it the buyer's journey. I mean, there's user journey, buyer's journey. I mean, they are pretty similar, except for with the user journey, a lot of times it doesn't always end in a purchase, but in marketing it does. But there's the parallels are there. And so that's what the biggest thing I've changed about it is doing more research into my audience. We even create avatars, just like in UX, same thing, knowing more about where does this person shop? What are their main pain points, their needs, their desires? You know, do they have a family? All these different points along the way to better craft who I'm, who my message is going out to. I've dug way more into that side of things since I've come back to the industry, trying to understand my buyer more and then crafting my entire campaign after I do that part first. So it's a lot of research up front, understanding how to get them from awareness to purchase and making sure along the way you know that it's not just one full stage. I mean, they go through multiple stages before they actually want to buy or book a call, whatever it might be. And so I would say that's the biggest thing that's changed is my research heavy focus and having better empathy for who's on the other end, because I'm not going to just send out mass emails or mass marketing. I do a lot of Facebook advertising, and so I am looking at the data, but I'm still coupling that with still understanding my user and how I can change certain messages. For example, I'll give you one example here. So I design what they call sales funnels, right? Where I bring a customer in that doesn't know who this business is. And I take them through a series of stages digitally to get them down to what they call the bottom of the funnel, which is when they're ready to buy or book a call, whatever it might be. So recently, we've been running into some interesting bottlenecks with some of our funnels where they're called B2B funnels. So meaning that we have a client that wants to get book calls from other businesses. So we bring these other businesses through a funnel to book a call with that client. And one of the stages in the funnel is where they have to fill out an application to see if they qualify for this program or service. And the really interesting thing I've been seeing lately across multiple funnels is people will go in and they'll fill out an entire application, sometimes up to 10 questions about who they are, if they qualify financially, et cetera, why they want to be part of the program. And they'll get to after they're done with the application, they'll get to another page where they can schedule a call to learn more about the program. And for some reason, we were having a drop-off rate where people would apply, but then not book. I was just like, you guys are going through this entire process. As you get to the end and you just can't select the date. Like, why not? And I did a little research on it and some testing. And I found that the reason why is because a lot of them didn't know what the call was really for. They would get done with an application, but not really know, like, why am I getting on the phone? What's the reasoning behind it? It would just be a scheduler, but no reason. So what I did is I had my sales guy go in and create a quick 30-second video. Hey, congratulations. You made it through the application. Really excited to speak with you. On this call, we're going to discuss this, this, and this, all benefit focused, right, for them. And just quickly book a time below, and I'm look forward to speaking with you. So he introduce himself, say what the call is about, the program, and kind of just move them toward that call. Once we implemented that, I mean, our booking rate went up dramatically.
Wow.
And so it's just understanding more about their journey as opposed to looking at just the numbers. I dug in to figure out what was their journey from application to call, to understand more what they needed to nudge them to book that time.
And that's really the beauty of marketing. It's supposed to be about uncovering insights to how people behave. And that's really my favorite part of marketing is the behavioral side. You know, people always ask, like, 1-page or 2-page resume. Well, I mean, there's a million answers on it, but think about human behavior. How do people behave? How much would you read, right? Cover letters or you know, sales messaging or emails. Like, I remember one of the big fights I always had at a company where I was doing a lot of marketing was the number of call to actions in an email. I'm like, it should be 1, but there's like 15 in here. And
like 15 links.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So much.
And that really, at the end of the day, in my mind, is the true value of marketing. It's people who are on their best days providing value, simplifying things, and providing more context for people to make decisions. And I really think that that's kind of, whenever I'm thinking about it, it's like, am I providing more context? Am I giving more detail? Am I making things easier and simpler for folks to interact with? And, you know, I think being so far away from the marketing world now, I'm probably doing a lot of things very wrong. A lot of what you're talking about is making me go, we should have a separate conversation. But
for sure, man.
But yeah, it is fascinating to see, like, there's like the romantic idea of marketing, of like being this art and this like way of, you know, selling Heinz ketchup that like will speak to your soul. And then there's
white gloves.
Exactly. Right? And then there's the negative view of marketing, which is this like scammy, everyone's just trying to get, you know, out for themselves kind of a thing. And then I love this ethical view of it, where it really is about a relationship building process between the people that work at a company and the people that buy from that company. And that relationship building aspect seems to be, you know, I don't know how every company will implement it in different ways. But having that mindset, especially for young entrepreneurs and for small businesses and for agencies and things like that, is definitely the way to go. Because I mean, with everything, retention, like you said, is so important. And you know, if there was something that you could go back and do differently, if you were to look back at, you know, all the moves in your career,
Mm,
What would be something that you would go back and do differently with what you know now?
mm-hmm. What I don't know, man, it's a really good question. I would say I would have stuck with that first business longer. I leapfrogged a bit when I started with my, a video platform for accounting students. I leapfrogged into a marketing agency. I think I would have, if I could have stuck with that longer. I think with anything, as long as you don't give up. I mean, that's very cliche, but it is true. Like, because as humans, we try new things, we get feedback from that, and hopefully we improve. That's the idea. So that's kind of how really anything works. And they say don't give up, which doesn't resonate with me as much, but I know what the meaning behind that is. Because if you do give up, you no longer have data points, you no longer have feedback, you can't keep iterating to improve. That's kind of the idea. And so that's what I would have done differently, is stuck with that first business and just kept trying new things, because I know eventually it would have clicked and I would have had like a more, I guess, successful subscription platform. That's kind of what I was going for. But it was very challenging, that business. So that's kind of why I did leapfrog a bit. I think it was more of just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of failing. And at the end of the day, though, man, it's the best thing there is, because that's how you learn.